there's definitely the ups and the downs and the stressful moments and the stressful days and weeks and years, but we've been certainly blessed by the industry. And there's a piece of me that is excited to give that to somebody else. Because it is an industry where the sky's the limit.
Welcome to the Mountain West Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to the podcast. Today we have a very exciting podcast. We have what I call the old bulls, which are the oldest, well, not quite the oldest, but experts in commercial real estate. And I've got J.R. Moore and I've got Troy Hardy. If you guys would introduce yourselves, give us a little background on your career, how you got here, why you got here, what are you doing here?
Okay, I get to go first.
You go first.
I don't think I've ever been introduced as an old bull.
Yeah, eventually. So at some point, you got to make it to that threshold.
It's important that you were not referred to as the oldest bull, just an old.
This is a stark reality for me, realizing that I'm now an old bull in the industry. I'm J.R. Moore. I guess if I think about it, I've been in the commercial industry, real estate industry for going on 27, 28 years now.
Yeah, you're young. You're young.
Is that what it is? And started in retail, specialized in retail. That's where I started. That's where I've stayed. And really kind of just specialized in retail. I work, I have the fortunate benefit of being part of a larger team with two awesome partners, Russ Harris and Stephanie Baranek. And which I believe Stephanie was on one of these podcasts.
She was. She did women in commercial real estate. She was excellent.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. And we have a team manager. Her name is Ali Jarvis, and actually just had my son join the team, Devin Moore.
Yeah.
So
mirror image.
Yeah. Well,
literally.
A lot of people say that they think that they're talking to me when they're talking to him.
Yeah, I was talking about the age, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we look very similar. We all do retail. I've kind of worked in shopping center development, in retail investment sales. I have been fortunate to do a lot of single tenant work, representation on the lease side and the landlord side, the tenant side. And we and our team, we currently represent about 50 national, regional, and local tenants in the Utah, Idaho, Intermountain West market. So do a lot of restaurant work, and here I am, 28 years and still going.
There you go. Haven't turned off the switch yet.
No, not yet.
It's funny. When I started in this business, one of the first calls I made, well, after, I had kind of figured out where my desk was, but one of the first calls I made after I figured out where my desk was to J.R. Moore. And I remember feeling so intimidated by this idea that
he was at CB.
I was at CB. He was at Prime.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah, that goes.
And so I reach out to this guy. He's like a titan of this industry, right? I reach out to J.R. Moore, and he says to me something to the effect like, "Hey, did you look at this guy's financials?" Because I was trying to do a deal with him. Do you remember this?
Vaguely.
Why would he remember?
And honestly, the answer is no. Why would I look at the financials? And so I said to him, sure, yeah. And he's like, "Troy, this guy doesn't have enough money to put carpet in the space, let alone sign a lease." And I'll never forget, A, because he took food off my table. So thank you, JR.
You're welcome.
But B, I learned so much from JR just in that first call. So as we refer to ourselves as old bulls, I just want to make sure that it's very clear that there are two very old bulls in this room.
Yes.
I'm still learning your bull ways.
Well, how long have you been in the business?
22 years.
Oh, well, see?
Oh, we got the wrong guy on this podcast.
Clearly, just look at me.
Spry.
I am a spry. young bull. No, I got in the business because I didn't have anything else to do. I feel like commercial real estate is kind of the land of misfit toys.
It's the last
It's literally
opportunity.
the last place you go. But no, truthfully, I always had an interest in development and real estate. Felt like I wanted to somehow get in this industry, and a favor was called. Gary Mangum took an interview with me. I put on my nicest only suit, and I'll never forget. He said, "Okay, do you have your real estate license?" Right? No.
What does that mean?
Why would I? What's that for? And he said, "Okay, I'm going to need you to come back after you have your real estate license." And I'm confident no one got through that real estate licensing school and exam faster than I did.
How long
I
did it
was
take
at
you?
Stringham. It took me 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
2
the fast
weeks,
course.
and then you had to wait a week before you could take the test.
That's the fastest I've ever heard.
I was 3 weeks, and I passed it on my first attempt.
That's incredible.
And that's an unwritten rule in commercial real estate. You never, or any real estate, you never
Right.
tell someone how many times you took the test.
Yeah,
right. Unless it was just once, and then you can
I
tell
can
them.
tell you how many times I took it, but it wouldn't surprise you.
It was more. It was more than one. Anyway, so I went back over there, worked for a few months, realized commercial real estate was not for me. Quit the business. Took a job in house at Phillips Edison. This was back in 2003.
That's right. I remember that.
And proceeded to just cold call every day.
How long were you in brokerage?
Like 3 or 4 months.
Okay. Oh, wow.
It was terrible. Like I genuinely didn't like it. I felt like it was not the right industry.
What was it about it you didn't like?
I was kind of left to my own devices. So I sat at a desk. I had a list of the retail tenant directory.
Yeah.
And I literally was just calling down
RTD.
this list. Yes,
Yeah.
just RTD.
So you were just on an island by
I had
yourself.
no listings. I was by myself. And I had a little bit of guidance from another broker who I won't mention on this podcast. But
rhymes with.
I'm not going to do it.
All right.
Almost though. I almost did. Anyway, so I decided, I really needed to go somewhere where I could actually get paid for all these cold calls. And took a job at Phillips Edison. I was there for just a few months before I realized that was also not for me. I did an ICSC with them where I think I had 30 meetings. I didn't come up for air in 3 days. And then, fortunately, I went back to Coldwell Banker Commercial, and Gary welcomed me with open arms. He said, I still kind of have a desk. Gave me like half of a desk. And then I knew I couldn't go back to Phillips Edison, so I had to make it work. But it's crazy. 22 years passes by in a blink, and here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Old
bulls.
sort of bulls. So what were those early years like for you guys? Like as rookies, I mean, every one of us has been a rookie at some point. I kind of consider rookie being the first 3 years. And the fail rate amongst brokers is something like 30, 40%, meaning 40% of people that start commercial real estate brokerage are out of the business within 3 years. It's a really difficult time, stressful. You have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea if you're going to make money. What was your headspace like during that 3 years?
Well, Troy said, you talked a lot about cold calling, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like, especially when I started, and when all of us started, that was like cold calling was the requirement.
Yeah,
like that's just that's what you did, and
it was out of a phone book.
That's right. So I remember showing up.
Pages.
I remember showing up. I originally started at CBRE, and was there with the two mentors, the two guys that got me into the business, which was my father, Rob Moore, and Rich Coles, who is unfortunately not with us anymore.
Yeah.
But those were my two mentors in the business and brought me into the business. And I remember day one, I show up, and Rich Coles sits me down and he shows me this site plan of the Albertson Shopping Center up in Clinton, Utah, which is now a Fat Cats. But he said, hey, we have these vacancies. They need to be filled. Here are the yellow pages. Yeah. Go. Knew nothing.
Yeah, that's it.
I knew nothing. And I just started calling pizza places. I recognized that there was not a pizza place. So I started calling pizza places. And I quickly realized that if you're going to call the Pizza Hut in Syracuse, Utah, and ask them if they want to expand into Clinton, that's not the way to do it. Right? Because I got some 16-year-old kneading dough behind the bench and saying,
has no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. And so it was. I feel like the way that I was taught were, you know, the school of hard knocks, right? But I also think that it's kind of a it's a refiner. It's a refiner, right? Everybody how many of us have had people ask us, "Hey, I'd like to get into the commercial real estate business. How do I do that?"
Every week. Yeah.
Right, all the time. And the first thing I say is don't.
Yeah.
The second thing I say is if you do, then you just need to realize that you need to work like crazy for the first 2 years and you're not going to make a single dime.
Yeah. How much money did you make your first year in?
$11,000.
$11,000. This was in 99 or something.
Yeah.
$17,000.
$17,000.
I had a big year. I leased a space in Draper to a restaurant called El Rancho Grande. I'll never forget it. It was a windfall. It was crazy.
So on that one deal, you made $17,000.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
It was a big deal.
That is huge.
No, it did take me a full year to get that deal done. So the first
Yeah.
11 and a half months, I didn't make any money, but
Yeah.
I got one check.
Right. And what happens is that people come into the industry and they're into month 6, month 7, month 8. And now the lights turn on and they say, "Oh, I didn't realize that you were actually telling the truth."
When you said I wasn't going to make money, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
You were serious.
And, you know, there's the whole dialogue about, you know, commercial real estate just takes so long to get deals done and your success ratio is pretty low. You know, you have to look at certain amount of deals before other deals actually come through. And then it takes you a year and a half to get paid. And people just don't understand that.
I made $856 my first year in the business.
Yeah, but that was 1984.
That was it was a long time ago.
Different.
But
Inflation.
I think my second year I made like, I don't know, 50 grand or something gross,
Yeah.
but phenomenally difficult. Yeah. Both of you guys have at different times talked about a mentor. Let's talk a little bit about what a mentor means to a rookie, because I talk about this subject a lot with people and I've talked about it on this podcast before, but if you look at the top 20 commercial real estate brokers in the state of Utah or in this region, I bet you 19 of those top 20 brokers had a mentor who was in the top 20 in the previous generation. That's how important a mentor is, especially to a rookie. So anyway, just touch on that. Talk about who your mentor was or mentors and what they meant to you.
I totally believe that this is a business built on mentorship. I don't think that you can, let me rephrase that. I think it's very rare to see a very successful commercial real estate agent who just came in and did it all themselves.
It's almost unheard of. It's happened. I could name a few examples, but
Right.
almost never.
Yeah. And my successes certainly have been built on the shoulders of my mentors. So I was super lucky in the sense that, you know, there's the running joke, Chad, you can chime in on this, that the more you can't do commercial real estate in Utah without running into a more, right? And so we're lucky enough that we were born in the industry, basically.
Right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right at the bottom. Underbelly.
But when you're born as a Moore, you're given a birth certificate and a commercial real estate license. And so I watched my dad in the industry and quickly decided that I want that kind of lifestyle and so my dad brought me in and was my mentor, and I certainly would never be where I'm at today without him. It would have just been impossible, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as you talk about how rare it is to find somebody who kind of did it without a mentor, I can say honestly, like I didn't have a singular mentor, but the real like changing or the big change that happened in my career was when Coldwell acquired Prime. So I spent a couple of years,
What was
literally
this, like 2005.
it would have been in 05 or
something like
06, and it was as though I had just been like in a room with the lights off, just feeling my way around the industry, right? Just trying to figure out a way to make things work. And then all of a sudden, these prime guys come over, and every one of them were excellent at retail. I mean, you guys brought a level of expertise that I had never seen before. And so for me, it was Prime Commercial was my mentor. Like I watched the way JR, Stu, Tim, Bowler, Bogdan, how Russ, how all those guys, Beaudry, how they went about doing things. And I learned so much from you guys. And so genuinely, like that was my mentor moment. And I think without that Prime merger, I don't think I would have stayed in the business.
You feel like it motivated you to sort of improve your game?
I mean, we would have retail
Elevate your
meetings.
game?
Yeah. I mean, I would learn about retail while it was, happening in front of me. And prior to that, it was, put your name on this flyer, Troy, and go find a tenant. And you talk about like opening the phone book. I remember printing off 50 flyers and walking around in, I don't know, it's
Some
embarrassing,
shopping
but like
center.
literally just walking around handing out these flyers, right? To the 16-year-olds behind the counter who promptly, wrinkled them up and threw them away. So it's like, it's just, it was a really cool experience. I look back on it with fondness. Like I really grew a lot when Prime showed up and we were all in that office in Mill Rock and it was fun.
And our industry is really an industry of connection and relationships. I mean, I don't know necessarily because my experience is isolated to Utah and the Intermountain West, but I don't know if connections are as strong outside of our market. But if you think about like the relationships that all of us have had as we've grown up in this industry, and even the OGs of the industry, everybody plays really pretty well together in the sandbox.
Yeah, I think that's generally true. One, we're very insular, and like you said, and the second thing is it's Utah, so we're all actually second cousins or first cousins anyway.
For sure.
We'll see him at the family reunion either way.
I think it's interesting too to point out how many retail brokers there are in this, somewhat small area, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we work in the Intermountain West, but the brokers per capita, when compared to major markets, there are so
It's
many of us.
significantly higher.
I mean, we have to find a way to work together.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd all go crazy.
I did a study years ago. It's outdated now, but at the time we had something like 400 commercial real estate of all disciplines, 400 commercial real estate brokers in the state of Utah for a population of 4 million or whatever.
Right.
Like Phoenix, which has 6, 7 million or 8 million people, had like 350 or 400. Like we're almost always double per capita what our neighbors are. It's just find that interesting.
It's the
And so
Moors.
for me, it's all the Moors.
Thanks, guys.
For me, that has created an opportunity to grow in a couple of different ways. For example, yes, I had one or two really, really important mentors that got me into the industry and trained me. But because it was so easy to have a really close relationship with people like you, Troy, and Chad, and the Steve Bowlers of the world, and the Zach Beaudrys, and those guys, that I feel like I was actually mentored by each of you as well through the process.
Yeah, when you said at the very beginning that you were at Coldwell essentially all alone, a desk, a phone book, a phone, I thought to myself, that is the worst possible recipe for a rookie broker.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is almost 100% fail rate. And
You beat the odds.
yeah, well,
Congrats,
he left.
Troy.
He actually left and then came back, and then you had a better environment. But that's the fault of the brokerage, and every brokerage has made that mistake in not mentoring rookie talent. And two, I think an important lesson for any rookies that are out there listening is, if you're a rookie or if you're going to be a rookie in this business, find a mentor or mentors and latch on to them and learn as much as you can from them, because that really is the key to not only your success, but that's been the key to our success. And so, I guess I'd flip it around too. Now that you guys are old bulls, we're all old bulls. What responsibility do you feel to mentor
No responsibility. Next question.
rookies? Yeah. Sorry, that is not an opportunity for a job interview. You are, but you guys have actually mentored tons of people. I've mentored and recruited over 100 people in my career, and you guys have done dozens. Like what on the flip side of that, as an old bull, what do you gain from a rookie?
Well, I'm experiencing that right now with my son, Devin. And one of the things selfishly that I gain from having Devin in the office with me and him, I feed off of his energy.
That's right.
So when I come into the office at 8:00 and he's been there since 7, and I'm leaving at 5 or 6 and he's still there, there's a part of me that is motivated by that. Yeah. Plus, there is this sense of, and so I see his energy and I feel that energy and that excitement, and it really reinvigorates me. So selfishly, that's helpful for me.
Yeah, I'm certainly motivated, seeing a lot of the new brokers who are in this office. I've done admittedly, pretty poor job mentoring guys, because I don't know. I feel like maybe I didn't have a great mentor experience myself, so I don't know the right way to do it. But I look at my own kids and wonder if they'll find their way into this business, and who knows? Maybe
Let's pray
they will.
They do. Let's pray they do.
I just hope they get better grades than I did in high school.
They've already accomplished that.
We've been pretty blessed by this industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
It certainly comes with a lot of stress. Our wives have to bear a lot of that pressure. There's definitely the ups and the downs and the stressful moments and the stressful days and weeks and years, but we've been certainly blessed by the industry. And there's a piece of me that is excited to give that to somebody else, because it is an industry where you are, the sky's the limit. Your destiny is up to you. Right. And so if you have the right mentality for it, you have the right work ethic for it, then it is a pretty exciting thing to share with the next generation.
Do you think this next generation has the same work ethic as our generation? This is the age-old question, right? It's generational warfare. But do you feel like they have the motivation that we did? Of course, we worked harder and walked both ways uphill, but...
Well, of course, we're better.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time when I started and you guys started in the industry, email virtually didn't exist. It existed, but it was like this weird niche novelty. I remember I used to email people when I first started and people were like, what are you wasting your time with that technology? Get back to the fax machine.
Right.
That's where the real deals are made. And so I just kind of curious there, like, what do you see in that?
I think this next generation will do laps around us. I mean, I genuinely do. I think their knowledge of how to use technology is great. I mean, I'm watching my kids find their way around their homework assignments right now without actually doing homework. I mean, if they apply that to commercial real estate, genius. But there are certain skills that they need to learn from this generation of brokers, right? I mean, the interpersonal side of the industry is just something that, it's funny. I mean, it's just kind of lost. I mean, my best client relationships are guys that I can just talk to, right? Get on the phone, have a conversation with them. And they're the guys that I've been working with for 20 years. So I think that's something we can teach to this next generation, but I think there's a lot they'll teach us.
Yeah. And I've said this a bunch of times, but I really believe that this generation that's coming up, call it 15 to 25-year-olds. What is that, Gen?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Gen 6, 7.
Yeah, Gen 6,
whatever.
7.
Yeah.
Gen 6.
I think they have the greatest opportunity. I mean, I really do.
Yeah.
I think if they apply themselves and they work super hard, we've got a couple of rookies on our team right now. These kids, to JR's point, I mean, they're here before I get here and they're here when I leave every single day. And these guys just have an opportunity of a lifetime. They understand technology better than anybody else. They can apply it better than anybody else. We thought we were like technologists back in the day. We had no idea what we were doing. So
I think that the ratio of the young rookies that can work hard or are willing to work hard is smaller
I think that's right.
than in our generation.
Yeah.
But I do believe that those that are willing to apply themselves are willing to work much harder than we ever
and
did.
they have a disproportionate opportunity because other people aren't willing to work as hard.
Agreed.
So I really think I'm super bullish on this next generation coming up. I'm excited for them. And they too give me energy. Like you said, like I love that. That's such a great point. Anyone who's looking at getting a mentor, like a mentor gets something out of it too. It's not just a one-way street.
Yeah.
Agreed.
In order for them to be successful though, guys like us need to someday retire.
Yeah.
And I don't
question.
see that. I mean, I personally love this job so much.
No sarcasm.
You're not interested in
detected.
retiring
No,
anytime soon.
I was told once, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And
That was a
love
lie.
this.
So
Love
when
this
did
so
you when did you know that you had made it? In other words, like was there a point in time when you were like, all right, I can make it in this
a trick
industry?
question?
No, like I'll give you what it was for me. It was in 1999 or something, and I was in a apartment with my wife. We had just been married. We were paying like all in everything, every expense, like $850 a month. I mean, we were making I was making no money.
Yeah.
And I closed the deal and I got a check for $10,000 to me, which was the equivalent of 10 months worth of living expenses.
Right.
And I felt like, okay, the pressure that was on my chest is a little lighter and I can just feel a little better about what I'm doing, and my confidence went way up. And that was the first time, like I didn't have any other choice. This is what I was going to do no matter what, because I'm too dumb to do anything else. And, this is just always what I wanted to do. But that was like the first time I thought, okay, I actually can do this and I can be successful doing it.
I remember when I started in the business, my wife she worked at a PR firm, and we had a monthly budget I think our budget was like $1,800. That included a mortgage, everything. Right. And I remember, we had a conversation a few times where it was like, hey, at some point we want to start a family, and having her work full time and be a mom to or raise a family would be really challenging. And so I share your thought. I mean, I remember doing a couple of deals, realizing that we had a little bit of a savings account and that she could quit. And unfortunately, it happened around the same time that we were welcoming our first child into this world, so timing worked out. But it's funny. Someone once gave me advice, early on in my career, to bite off more than you could chew and chew it. Mm-hmm. And I've shared that advice with other people. I think at the time I thought that meant buy a house, buy a car, take on a bunch of debt. That's not actually what was intended with that. But yeah, I remember feeling like I could actually chew what I was chewing, and it felt like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make it in this business. And I've since changed my mind a few times about that. But at that moment, I felt really great about things.
I had a mentor. I've had a lot of great mentors, and I had a mentor, Herm Franks. He's a great mentor, great guy. And he said to me once, he always had like these one-liners that he would give me just randomly. And I was sitting at my desk and he said, you want to know what the most motivated broker in the world is? I had been doing it for like 3 months.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. And I was like, what? He's like, find me a broker that has been married, has a mortgage, and has a kid on the way.
Right.
And I'll show you the most motivated broker in the world. And I laughed, but you know what? That was so right on.
For sure.
That's so
It's very
right.
true.
You get that first kid or a couple of kids, you got a mortgage, man, you are going to work until your fingers
Right.
have no skin left on them.
Yeah.
But I think that that's one of the things that I always tell people that I love the most about this industry is that it's all up to you. It's up to me, right? At the end of the day, I'm not waiting around for a paycheck, but I'm also not waiting around for somebody to say you've been furloughed, or we're going to have to let you go. We're downsizing. And then I'm finding another job, right? At the end of the day, if I can pay my mortgage, if I can put food on my table, it's because of me.
Yeah.
And it's all up to me.
I always joke I don't have a boss, right? Sadly, I have like 35 bosses. But
Yeah.
the other thing I always say is that I'm unhireable. Like no one would ever want to hire me.
They wouldn't know what to say to any of us,
right?
Like, what are your skills?
I control my own work
What are your
day,
skill
my
set?
work hours, my income. I decide how much I get paid and when I work. I mean, it's a crazy industry. And to your point, I mean, you work hard, you can make money in this business. It's great.
Yeah. Looking back at 22 years and 27 years and 27 years for me, like what's changed in the industry, or maybe you've changed, but what's changed in the way you work, the way you approach the business? And here's something kind of funny too. Like when I first started in the business, one of my mentors said, your kill ratio sucks. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? And they're like, if you're working on 100 deals, you're closing like 8 or 9 of them. That's like 8 or 9% kill ratio.
Right.
I was like, okay, I don't know. And he was like, get to 50%. Once you get to 50%, like you're in good shape. And it's totally true. Like what it means is at this point in your career, 25, 27 years, whatever, for the most part, with a 50-50 degree of accuracy, this deal is going to close or this deal is not going to close. And you don't waste your time on the deals that have no chance of closing whatsoever.
Right. But the only way that you're going to figure that out is through experience.
You have to make all of those horrible mistakes.
That's right. So you can't jump into the business thinking that your kill ratio is going to be 50%.
No.
Right. And I see that all the time with, the rookies that are coming into the industry is they'll come up all super excited about a deal and I'll kill it. I'll shoot it down and, put 1,000 bullets into that deal. And then they walk away with their tail between their legs. But the reality is that they have to go through that to realize, oh, okay, look, what is worth my time working on? Yeah.
So what do you guys see in retrospect or today that helps you discern that?
Well, one of the hardest things that I had to learn in this business was to not chase the dollar. Mm-hmm. Because I think, you're young in the business, even just now, right? You see the dollar signs and you think, okay, if I just work on this deal, then I'm going to get paid. I'm going to get some money. And if your focus is on the dollar, then you're going to end up wasting a lot of time chasing the dollar. Mm-hmm. And instead, what I had to learn was to evaluate a deal based off of whether or not it worked, whether or not there were all the pieces of the puzzle that you could put together, and also what I was passionate about. You're going to close a lot more deals if you're passionate about the deal, if you're excited about the deal, if you believe in the deal. Mm-hmm. But if you're chasing the dollar, then you can waste a lot of time.
But you kind of have to chase the dollar in the beginning to some degree. That's probably not true, but like you got to make money in the beginning.
Yeah, but you see a lot of guys that are chasing the dollar and that quickly becomes relevant to the client as they start to realize, hey, you're not really looking out for me. You're just looking to close a deal.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's interesting you say that because I think the best brokers are the ones who have made enough money that they don't view deals or clients as money. They view it as, this is what I love to do. And I love to figure out problems and do deals. And you can feel that. Like I was buying a car recently at a car dealership, and I was going back and forth with the guy, and I was like, I don't think it's for me, and maybe I'll send me the info, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, man, I've had a bad couple of months and I could really use this deal. And I thought, like, I have never been less motivated as a buyer than I am right now, knowing you really need to close this deal.
You just touched on it. It's when you stop being a salesman. Like that's the thing. I'm not a very good salesman. I genuinely, I'm not good at sales. And And so when I'm trying to sell something, when I'm genuinely like just trying to sell that, I want to sell that deal because there's a fee associated with it, I'm not very good at my job. It's when I'm authentic and I'm myself and I recognize that I'm providing a service, like I'm actually providing a space to a potential tenant that makes sense for them, right?
And
it
they
would
can
help
feel
their
it.
business.
They can feel
it.
that.
There's a difference in that conversation and that negotiation. And I think that's when it kind of clicked, right? And that's what I do differently now versus when I started in the business. When I started in the business, it was, I gotta make this fee. Let's figure out a way to fit this round peg into this square hole. Now it's like, no, if it works, it works. The urgency is still there, but at the same time, it's not a sales pitch.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by chasing the dollar is you're chasing the fee. You got to make that transition between being a transactional broker, a paper pusher, a salesman, into a role of a consultant, a partner in the deal.
Right.
And once you can establish that kind of a relationship with your client, that's really where your value skyrockets.
You want me to drop a paradox on you guys?
Can't wait.
This is just of my own making, but the facts are accurate. Brokerage is a young person's game, right? For sure.
That's why we're here. Young guys.
It's a young
The old
person's
bulls.
game.
Yeah.
However, the highest earning years as a broker are between the ages of 45 and 60.
Hot dang.
So
Can't wait.
So figure
I'm 42, so yeah.
so figure that out.
No, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a line.
You gotta, this business is about experience. It's about what you know. It's your intel. It's ultimately you become the most valuable asset to the client when you are a consultant, when you are a partner. Anybody can fill space. Anybody can be what we call a dentist, right? Anybody can fill that location or fill that space. It's where you become valuable is with your wealth of experience and knowledge and the market like the back of your hand. And when you can sit down with a client and you can say, don't do this deal because of X, Y, and Z. And the client is saying, "Oh my gosh, I've never had anybody tell me not to do a deal."
One of my favorite things to do is to tell a client, "Don't do this.
Don't do the deal.
Don't
It's
do this
great.
deal."
I had an agent, a young kind of up and coming guy here in this office. After I sent out a listing, a new property that I was marketing, come up to me and said, "Hey, that's an awesome property. How do you get a listing like that?" And my first thought was, "What a dumb question." And then my second thought was, and this is what I responded with. I said, I've known this guy for 20 years. This is someone I've transacted with multiple times. I have a relationship with this person. And the only way you have a 20-year real estate relationship is if you're authentic and you're real and you tell them, don't do this deal. There's a better deal down the road. Or you tell them, do this deal for the following reasons, not because there's a big fee associated with it, because it's actually a deal that you should do, right? And over time, you build these relationships with different clients, and they trust you. And I mean, it sounds, I don't know, it sounds like a little cliche, but that's really what it's all about. Is just having those real relationships.
I was talking to my buddy the other day who is in the tech world, and we were talking about commercial real estate brokerage and how long it takes to make money, and I was like, it takes like 10 years before you really start making money, and I'm like, you could make millions and millions of dollars, but it takes a long time. And he's like, man, that seems like it takes forever.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me laugh, but also like there's a lesson to be learned there for any rookies who are starting. And it's that you will make money. You could make hundreds of thousands of dollars. You could make tens of millions of dollars in this business, but you have to pay the price first. And the price of admission is grinding really hard for years, maybe a decade, before you really start seeing significant amount of money. And a lot of people in today's world, and maybe that was the way in our generation too, is they want it now. I want $500,000 right now. If I start today, when do I start making $500,000? And that is just not how this industry works. You want to make $1 billion or $100 million, go start a tech company, good luck. That's just not the world we live in. Our world is you want to make tens of millions or 100 million or a billion. I'll see you when you're 98 years old, because that's how long it's going to take you to make that much money.
Right.
It's interesting. The barrier to entry is so low, right? Anyone can do this. I mean, if you can fog a mirror, you can be in the commercial real estate business. But how do you succeed, right? It's that price that you pay after you've entered the park.
It's brutal.
When you say that the dropout rate is like 30-40%, that actually surprises me. I think
that was higher.
Yeah, I thought it was certainly higher than that. But
yeah, and it could be from an industry perspective, and a lot of it also is dependent on the cycle. So, if there was a downturn like the 2008 financial crisis downturn, like we lost an entire generation of brokers during that era.
True.
And in the 2001, there was a micro recession. We lost a couple brokers then. So, and then in the 2020, we saw a bunch of office brokers, because that was essentially decimated. A bunch of office brokers jumped ship and are doing whatever.
Yeah.
Out of brokerage. So, yeah, it could be higher than that.
I feel like we've successfully scared away any potential rookies into joining this industry.
I hope so.
I feel like actually there's a resurgence right now. I feel like 5 years ago or so, before COVID, there weren't a lot of new rookies coming in. But I feel like right now I talk to somebody, like no exaggeration, once a week, if not a couple times a week, that hits me up like, hey, would love to interview with you and the company and see if I can get a job there. So
they all know Scott. That's the thing. They know Scott Brady. They see him. They see his lifestyle. They're like, I want to be like that guy.
Well, they just see it from the outside. They don't see that he's working until 3 a.m. in the morning.
22-hour work days.
That's a tough business. I mean, that's that there's that analogy out there, right? Where someone's like, how'd you get all this success? And he's like, I'm a successful 25 years in the making, man.
Yeah.
Overnight success, 25 years in the making.
That's right. That's
a good point.
I think it's an incredible industry. It's awesome. It's a grind up front. It's brutal. But it's also super rewarding. And I think when you get to the point where we all are old guys, old dogs, old bulls, I think it's this is the most enjoyable part of my career, And it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with I feel like I'm helping my clients. I feel like I'm seeing them do cool things. I'm putting cool things together for them. I get to work with all of you. I get to see all these rookies come in, which is really motivating to me. We got a guy here who we're going to do a podcast with in a couple of days who is 30 years old, and he brought in an $850,000 fee. I mean, stuff like that just blows my mind. I love that. I love seeing young people making money. It's so fun.
I think you've reached your final form. Final
which
form.
Is,
it's just like cool broker dude.
It's just fun.
Like it is. It's like when you reach your final dad form, you're just like, hey, I'm just comfortable with who I am. And
final dad bod
I feel
form.
like I'm finally in my final dad bod and broker form. Like I'm just comfortable with who I am, and I'm with you. It's a fun business. It's been really a great career.
Yeah, I echo that as well. I think that I right now what I'm doing after 27 years in the business, I just hit 49. You're almost there.
Almost, but not.
A couple of weeks away.
Yep. Talking to a couple of 49-year-olds here.
And
49.
You're 49 as well? Yeah.
I look a lot younger, but
you do. And I feel like I'm having the most fun in my career than I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I owe that to kind of your earlier question of getting over that hump of not worrying about paying the bills, and being in a position where I can work with the clients I want to work with, work on the deals that I want to work on, and do the things that excite me. And what's surprising about that is having that freedom and really bringing on, some young rookies into the industry and being able to have them start working on some of the deals, and that kind of frees me up to then explore other deals that I've always wanted to work on. It's been just a joy. Like it's been a lot of fun, and I've just really enjoyed this. I'm enjoying this phase of my career.
If you could, as we wrap toward the end here, if you could distill down 22 or 7 years of experience, and you're talking to a rookie, and you have, just a couple of sentences, what would you say to that person?
Man,
I wasn't prepared for this.
Be ready for some disappointment.
Huge part of our industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be ready for some disappointment. Work really hard. Be consistent. Consistency is more important than anything else. And find joy in it, because I think you can become so monopolized with, am I paying the bills? Am I making money? Am I hitting, these goals? Am I accomplishing what I want to accomplish? And I think that sometimes we forget to find joy in what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And I certainly have seen that in my life, that when I stop to think, hey, I want to have fun doing this, and so I need to make some changes so that I can enjoy what it is that I'm doing, then surprisingly, I'm much more successful at those times.
This just came to me. Bite off more than you can chew, and chew it is what I'm kidding. I had a conversation with I've got a couple high school age boys, and I think I would give the same advice that I gave them recently, which is, it relates to confidence. And, when you get into this industry, it's really easy to compare yourself to the other people around you, or to look for accolades or, kudos from others. And what I would tell any new broker is that your confidence comes from inside. And if you're doing the right things, if you're working hard, if you're hustling, if you're making those calls, if you're showing up at work every day and not just sitting at a desk, that then you should be confident, and that those successes will come. I think that's important. I think just like putting your head down and just going to work, right, and knowing that it'll take time and you'll be disappointed. And that when your wife asks you what the budget is, you will not have an answer, right? And that's okay. But that and being able to say I don't know is really critical. Like I think so often when you're early in your career, your client will ask you a question.
That's a great point.
And you feel like you always need to know the answer.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not know, right?
Yes.
It's okay.
Even today.
It's okay.
Even today
I
is
have
old.
no idea. I'll find out.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And something a lot of people don't do, but really should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one more. Absorb as much information as you can. Don't be afraid. Going kind of back to the beginning of our discussion, the industry is so tightly knit, and we are lucky to have such great people in this industry, even outside of in different brokerage houses, that absorb information from those people. We, as a rookie, you ask questions.
Yeah.
Talk to these people, ask them how they found success,
Make mistakes.
and ask them for advice and help. And you'd be surprised. Everybody is usually so willing to help and to share their wisdom and information.
Yeah, that's great. I would supplement those things, or maybe echo those things, just by saying it's really important as a rookie to align yourself with a brokerage who provides a rookie program, who will provide you with mentors. And then, outside of what a brokerage can provide to you as a rookie, I think, you guys have already touched on this, but be very consistent, meaning show up every day, work very hard. Don't worry about getting kicked in the teeth, because you will, over and over and over again. The best brokers in this business, the word no thanks or no, or we're not going to do that deal, it means nothing to them. Nothing. They just keep pushing, even when it seems to make no sense. And so, yeah, just head down and don't think about it. And that's hard for a lot of people, not to think about, like, can I make money? Am I going to make money? When am I going to make money? Those are all great questions. There aren't answers to those. The only answer is head down and keep working. And that's just the industry that we're in, which is brutal and awesome all at the same time.
The recent rookies that we've helped to train on our team, they'll come initially after week 1 or 2 and complain about, this deal died, or this client isn't going to do this, or everybody tells me no. I'll always tell them, track your no's, and until you get to 100 no's, you can't complain to me.
Love it.
You have to accumulate no's.
Once you have 101 no's, then you can complain.
Yeah.
Last 2 things. Where do you guys see this industry, meaning the brokerage industry, in 5 years? I mean, obviously AI is big. Everyone's talking about it. You touched on a little bit with the capabilities of these younger kids.
So specific to our market, I feel like, we have geographic restrictions. And so the industry, I mean, I don't know, but as it relates to retail in our industry, I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of infill development. I think we're going to continue to see a lot of these quick serve and fast casual groups continue to change and do different things. And, now it's drive-throughs, or actually now it's pick up, stalls and online ordering. And where does it go in the next 10 years? I don't know. We continue to see so much residential growth. Retail's following that residential. But as far as the industry is concerned, I mean, I think a lot of things stay the same. The way we actually get deals done will most likely stay the same. I think we'll become a lot more efficient. I hope I personally become more efficient. I don't know.
I agree. I think that beside just traditional retail trends, changing in terms of, we're driving towards more experiential retail. The big box format is decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going towards more lifestyle, more experiential drive-through food, entertainment, lifestyle type uses, and that's going to continue through the foreseeable future. As far as our industry specifically in brokerage, there's the hot button topic is AI, and what is AI going to take over? And I believe that information is going to be easier to obtain because of AI. And so I think it's going to make this next generation in brokerage that much more important, because clients are going to need to know how to utilize that information. So the information is going to be easier to obtain, but the experience and how to apply that information is still going to be much needed.
I love that you touched on that, because I think for years and years, it was about, we're hoarding information. That's the value we provide, right? We have the information. It's not available to other people. So they have to come to us in order to get that deal done or to get that information. And, to your point, that information is now, it's everywhere,
it's there,
right?
Anybody can get it.
So anyone can access that information. So what purpose do we serve? Well, it's the expertise. It's that knowledge. It's that experience.
Yeah. I mean, just one anecdotal funny thing. Everyone used to have proprietary mapping aerials, obliques.
Right.
Like, it was a big deal. You spent a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
Right.
And in like 2008 or whatever it was, Google decided, we're going to put all of the maps, aerials of everything on Earth online.
Right.
And guess what? It's free.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were like, okay.
Yeah.
But in the end, we adapted, and it had virtually no effect. As a matter of fact, it made us better. Made us better brokers.
Yeah, and I would say, we're seeing that even with a lot of these retailers pay big dollars to some of these companies, which I won't name, that are supposed to be able to crunch all the data, give all the information back to the client and say, if you locate here, your sales will be X, right? And although I think and for a long time, a lot of our clients were saying, well, this is the thing, right? This is going to tell me, how, this is going to take all the guesswork out of it.
Right.
And what they've now discovered and what we've known all along is that the data is only a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And and you have a piece of the puzzle now that everybody has, but the clients still need us to help guide them into how to use the data.
Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, we're going to wrap this thing for two reasons. One, I think these old guys got to pee. And two, Troy can't drive after dark, and it looks like it's starting to get dark outside.
Sun's starting to go down.
So we're going to wrap this thing up. But as we do when we wrap up these podcasts, we always drop a trend. And we were thinking about that before the podcast, and I think someone mentioned that Kava missed on earnings, followed by Chipotle, which missed on earnings, I think, last week. And so two huge fast casual concepts that have been astronomical on the growth side. And it feels like, at least where we stand or sit today, there's a little bit of a curve headed back down the other direction. So do you guys think fast casual QSR has peaked and is starting to decline or plateaued?
I certainly think, we do a lot of quick service restaurants, and we have a lot of clients that are in that genre. And we're starting to feel that already. Our clients are becoming more picky, I guess you would say, in terms of where they're going to allocate their dollars for expansion. Because what's interesting is on a national level, they're seeing that the sales are starting to kind of plateau on a national level. Surprisingly, the little kept secret is that Utah is not. Utah sales, at least for our clients, are still doing pretty well and a little on an upward trend still. We haven't seen that plateau that they've seen on a national level. But anything that happens nationally affects us here locally, right? So we are starting to see a little bit of a pullback where, and I think that what we're going to see is we're going to see a little bit of a decrease in competition for those spaces, which I actually think is really good for our industry right now, because there's just been so much competition that I think that it's going to let off a little bit of the steam, which is necessary.
Yeah, I think all one of critical pieces is the occupancy cost piece. And I mean, occupancy costs have risen so many multiple. I mean, like I think about where deals were. A QSR deal 10 years ago, you could get, a really great end cap with a drive-through in the low 20s. Your triple nets were like $5 maybe at the very most. And so, you're in the space, $27 gross. That same space is $60 plus space now. So you look at this as a percentage of sales, and all these QSRs have raised their prices, right? COVID changed the world, really. I mean, the $4.26 number 6 spicy chicken meal at Wendy's is now $14.
That's right.
I mean, but there comes a point where those occupancy costs are no longer bearable by the tenant, and I think
the point is now
absolutely there.
Yeah.
Right. So these landlords continue to just pass those costs through to these retailers and these tenants, and I think they're starting to push back and say, we can't continue to just pass that on to the consumer. Consumers are spending less, and as a result, we can't spend as much on rent, and it trickles down, right? And it needs to trickle down. We need to see construction costs reduced. We need to see land costs go down. I want brokers to make more money, but
municipality fees.
Yeah, municipality fees. I mean, triple nets. You guys remember? I don't want to sound too old here, but like 20 years ago, if your nets were $4, you were crazy.
$3. If they were $3.
They're $14 now.
They're crazy.
I mean,
it's
what has
absolutely out of
happened?
control.
Now we're really aging ourselves.
I think that's true on the fast casual. Well, I think actually anything with consumerism, I think we're reaching a point where the consumer is exhausted, and maybe it's already past the point of return. But I'm a Chipotle fan. I go to Chipotle all the time.
I was there yesterday.
All the time. I roll into Chipotle and I get a bowl or a burrito and some stuff. It's $15.
Dude, I got
it's $15.
single bowl. It was $18 last night.
Yeah.
Granted, I got the guac.
And they're passing on cost just like everybody else is. But at some point, there's a consumer holding the bag at the end of the line. And the consumer's probably, it feels like, saying, you know what? We're tapping out.
Yeah.
Right.
So we got to recalibrate and balance that. I feel like we're right there.
I agree.
So there'll be some interesting changes over the next couple of years to accommodate that. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being the Old Bulls, for taking on that mantle.
Oh, it feels great.
You guys are awesome.
Thanks,
These
man.
guys are top producing super brokers. If you guys have any retail investment needs and you want an Old Bull who knows way more than pretty much anybody else in the industry, might be grumpy from time to time, but we'll always tell you a good story. J.R. Moore, Troy Hardy. Thank you guys.
Thanks,
man.
Chad. Thanks, JR.
Hoorah!
Jazzco, that was fun.
That was awesome, man. Excellent.